Jonathan Majors was a rising star in Hollywood, quickly establishing himself as one of the most promising young actors. He is widely known for his role as Kang the Conqueror in the Marvel Cinematic Universe (MCU), particularly in Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and other MCU films. Before the scandal broke, Majors had already made a significant impact in Hollywood, showcasing his talent in films like Lovecraft Country 2020, which garnered him critical acclaim and made him a favorite among fans. Major's powerful performances and compelling screen presence earned him roles in prestigious projects, positioning him as one of the industry's next big stars. His breakout role as Atticus Freeman in Lovecraft Country showcased his versatility and dramatic range, which attracted the attention of major studios and propelled him into the spotlight. In March 2023, Jonathan Majors was arrested in New York following an incident involving his girlfriend. The woman, a fellow actor and model, accused Majors of physically assaulting her during a heated argument. According to her statement, Majors had struck her, bitten her, and strangled her in the back of a taxi. The confrontation allegedly began after an argument about personal issues, escalating into violence when Majors lost his temper. The incident was immediately reported to the police, and Majors was arrested on the spot. The charges included assault harassment and several allegations of domestic violence. As the news broke, it sent shockwaves through Hollywood, particularly because Majors had been one of the rising stars in the industry. At the time, he was filming key roles in major Hollywood franchises, including his pivotal role as Kang the Conqueror. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a character that was central to the upcoming Avengers films. The public reaction was mixed, but largely negative. While there were those who defended Majors, citing his strong performance in recent films and suggesting that there was more to the story, the allegations were serious enough to cause a major stir in both the media and his professional network. His fans, who had previously seen him as a rising star, were left stunned by the news. The allegations were particularly troubling because Majors was seen as a prominent figure in both Hollywood and the African American community. His reputation as a clean-cut, hardworking actor was immediately called into question. The legal system quickly became the stage for what would be a lengthy battle. Majors' legal team, led by some of the best attorneys in the country, began to prepare his defense. They were determined to prove that the allegations were false, describing the accusations as an exaggerated misunderstanding or a personal vendetta. They pointed to inconsistencies in the woman's story and questioned her motivations, suggesting that she may have had ulterior motives for making such a public claim. Despite Majors' claims of innocence, the legal proceedings did not unfold smoothly. The woman who accused Majors of assault continued to cooperate with the authorities, offering evidence to back her claims. She provided text messages, photos, and even eyewitness testimonies from those who had been near the scene of the incident. As the investigation continued, further evidence came to light that suggested this may not have been an isolated incident. In fact, there were reports suggesting that Majors had a history of volatile relationships marked by anger and violent behavior, both in his professional and personal life. Some ex-girlfriends and former friends came forward describing incidents where Majors had exhibited aggressive behavior. Although these allegations were not directly related to the case at hand, they painted a concerning picture of his character. The more details that emerged, the more damaging the scandal became to his image. At the same time, Majors' public relations team scrambled to salvage his career. They immediately began working on damage control, urging the public to wait for the facts to come out in court, and framing the situation as a misunderstanding between two people who were going through a difficult time in their relationship. They also suggested that the actress might be seeking attention or trying to manipulate the situation for personal gain, though these claims were speculative and not substantiated by any concrete evidence. However, as the case drew more media attention, the situation only became more complicated. A growing number of industry professionals began to question whether or not Majors could continue in his prominent roles, particularly in such a high-profile project as Avengers. Marvel Studios, which had signed him to play the central antagonist in future MCU films, was faced with a difficult decision whether to continue working with Majors despite the controversy or to distance themselves from him entirely. The decision to remove Majors from the MCU was ultimately made, although it took several months for the studio to officially announce it. His role as Kang the Conqueror, a character set to play a crucial role in the multiverse storyline, would be recast, and his future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was essentially terminated. Following the arrest, the legal battle quickly escalated. Evidence began to emerge suggesting that Majors may not have been involved in just this incident, but could have a history of violent behavior. Text messages and testimonies from past relationships painted a concerning picture, revealing a pattern of emotional manipulation, physical aggression, and explosive temper. Several women who had previously been involved with Majors came forward with similar stories of abusive behavior. Despite this mounting evidence, Majors continued to claim his innocence, insisting that the incident with his girlfriend was simply a misunderstanding. He and his legal team contended that there was no assault involved and suggested that his girlfriend had fabricated the story to cause harm to his career. His defense lawyers pointed to inconsistencies in the accusations and tried to undermine the credibility of the woman involved. As the case progressed, the legal team for Majors tried to paint him as a victim of false accusations and character assassination. They argued that his rising star in Hollywood, combined with his prominent role in the MCU, made him a target for fabricated claims. His defense tried to shift the narrative, claiming that the allegations were based on miscommunication and emotional distress within the relationship, rather than any malicious intent on Major's part. However, as the case unfolded, more details came to light, and it became apparent that Major's past might suggest a pattern of behavior. Despite his legal team's best efforts to discredit the charges, the investigation was not in his favor. Majors was facing not only the legal ramifications of the assault charges, but also the growing damage to his reputation. In Hollywood, where image is everything, this scandal was threatening to derail his career for good. In mid-2024, after months of public scrutiny and internal discussions, Marvel Studios officially announced that Majors would be removed from all future MCU films. The decision to cut ties with him was not made lightly, as Majors had been a central figure in the MCU's next major phase. Kang the Conqueror was meant to be a key villain in upcoming Avengers films, with his character integral to the multiverse storyline Marvel had spent years building up. Marvel Studios' decision was met with mixed reactions. Many fans expressed their disappointment, feeling that Majors had been unfairly targeted by the scandal. Others, however, understood the studio's decision, as they could not afford to risk the financial and reputational damage that could be caused by keeping him involved in the franchise amid such serious allegations. The decision to recast Kang was made, and Marvel began the difficult process of rewriting the character's storyline and finding a new actor to fill the shoes of the once promising villain. The fallout didn't just affect Marvel. Other major studios and filmmakers began to distance themselves from Majors, with several projects either delayed or outright canceled. The actor's future in the industry looked uncertain, and even as he sought smaller roles, the shadow of the scandal loomed large over his career. The public reaction to the scandal was swift and intense. Once the allegations became public, Majors' career trajectory shifted dramatically. Many fans were deeply disappointed by the news, feeling that their admiration for him had been shattered. Some fans still defended Majors, believing that he was being unfairly targeted and that the truth would eventually come out in his favor. However, the majority of the public began to turn against him, especially after the growing body of evidence against him. Social media quickly became a battleground, with heated debates over Majors' guilt or innocence. Hashtags supporting both sides trended online, and the conversation was filled with outrage, confusion, and disappointment. The scandal triggered widespread conversations about abusive behavior in the entertainment industry, particularly regarding powerful men in Hollywood and how such allegations often get swept under the rug. In response, Majors' public relations team worked tirelessly to maintain his image. They issued multiple statements declaring his innocence and urging the public to wait for the full facts to emerge. They also framed the situation as a misunderstanding between two people who had been under emotional stress, suggesting that the altercation was blown out of proportion. Their messaging, however, was met with mixed reactions. While some fans remained loyal, many felt that Majors' explanation was unconvincing in light of the mounting evidence and the serious nature of the accusations. As the scandal dragged on, it became clear that Major's career was spiraling downward. The studio pulled him from high profile projects, and his once promising career began to stall. Endorsement deals were canceled, and the actor found himself isolated with fewer and fewer offers coming his way. The fallout was not just limited to the public's reaction, but also had a profound impact on his professional relationships. Industry insiders began to wonder if Majors could ever recover from the damage to his reputation. This career decline, combined with the growing public scrutiny, led to a gradual erasure of Majors from Hollywood's spotlight. He was no longer the rising star he once was. Instead, he was the actor embroiled in a scandal that overshadowed his past work. The entertainment industry, notorious for quickly dropping people who fall from grace, had already started moving on from him. Despite the significant damage to his reputation and career, Jonathan Majors continued to fight for his place in Hollywood. In the aftermath of the scandal, he did not disappear entirely from the public eye, though his presence was significantly reduced. Rather than retreat completely, Majors aimed to rebuild his image by taking on smaller independent roles that would allow him to show his acting chops without the pressure of major blockbuster projects. His legal team worked tirelessly to clear his name, and there were moments when the public began to feel a certain sympathy for Majors. Many believed that his career had been unfairly derailed, and they hoped that with time the truth would come to light, exonerating him from the allegations. Some industry professionals who had once written him off began to reconsider the possibility of a comeback, recognizing that people can change and that the legal process would eventually determine the truth. However, the uphill battle for Majors was not over. While supporters remained hopeful, a significant portion of the public had lost trust in him. The scandal had done more than tarnish his reputation. It had left a permanent scar on his career. The financial impact of the scandal in terms of lost endorsement deals and canceled projects was impossible to ignore. Even though some smaller films and projects gave him opportunities to act again, the mainstream Hollywood roles were no longer accessible to him in the same way. At the same time, the industry itself had become increasingly cautious about dealing with controversial figures. Major's past behavior, coupled with the scandal, made it difficult for him to break back into the ranks of A-list talent. Hollywood is known for its ability to move on quickly, and despite his talent, Majors found himself fighting an uphill battle against the collective power of public opinion and industry scrutiny. One significant turning point came when Majors made an appearance at a film festival where he gave a candid interview discussing his past, his efforts at rehabilitation, and his commitment to moving forward. In the interview, he addressed the allegations head-on, acknowledging his flaws and expressing remorse for the incident. While it was a step toward repairing his image, many critics remained skeptical, believing that only time and continued good behavior would prove whether he truly deserved a second chance. The media landscape remained focused on his scandal for a long time, and despite his efforts to stay relevant, he was often referred to by his past mistakes rather than his potential. For many, the question was no longer whether Majors was guilty or innocent, but whether his career would ever truly recover. Despite these challenges, Majors continued to work appearing in independent films, taking on smaller roles, and participating in public events where he could show his commitment to making things right. However, it was clear that his trajectory had been permanently altered. His comeback, if it were to happen, would likely be slow and would require a careful navigation of public opinion, legal scrutiny, and professional relationships that had been significantly damaged. While some believed Majors still had the talent and potential to reclaim a place in Hollywood, it would require hard work, persistence, and a lot of time. In many ways, the road to recovery for Jonathan Majors would be long, uncertain, and fraught with obstacles. Whether or not he could fully regain his position as a leading actor in major franchises remained to be seen. But one thing was clear: the fallout from his scandal would be a defining moment in his career. Jonathan Majors' scandal serves as a stark reminder of how important it is for public figures to uphold their reputation both on and off the screen. Accountability, transparency, and responsibility are key not only in Hollywood, but in all industries. For those who have been affected by similar allegations, it's crucial to support victims' voices and advocate for safe, respectful work environments. For those who continue to support majors or anyone facing similar situations, it's important to engage in thoughtful dialogue about redemption justice and the complexities of human behavior. Hollywood and society as a whole must continue to demand accountability while offering opportunities for growth and change. Stay informed, stay engaged, and demand change in industries where power dynamics often protect those who abuse it.